Hello, welcome back. I am with a picture of David Ochoa. Congratulations, David, but I got to tell you, we're going to have to get you a camera for next week.
When I got my laptop approximately 10 years ago, I could have sworn that it had a camera attached to it. I don't know what I seem to have done with it.
We'll sort that out. You got 9 weeks of regular season to look forward to. Starting next week, VSL will be back. That had to feel great to win that match. I mean, there was one point where you felt like you might have even walked away from your computer during sideboarding. Those games were super intense, and you just threaded the needle. Talk to me about how that felt from your perspective.
Well, I mean, it's the matchup's uh, obviously pretty tricky. I mean, just it has a very similar feeling to Affinity, like in Modern. I don't know if you've walked by any matches like that recently, but whenever I see those going on, people are just, grabbing their foreheads and just concentrating and burning a hole in the battlefield. Like, I mean, those games are just so complicated. But in back to the match just now, it was kind of difficult. Like I had to just think about what Nick could have. Like I was more set up for a long game, so I wanted to draw them out for as long as possible. And my main concern would be dying to a quick assault from Porcelain Legionnaires and Revokers and Ravagers and Pangle Wires.
Yeah, Crucible definitely seemed like it gave you an edge in the last match in particular. That the second game and the third game, I don't know how worried you were about just getting fireballed out by Triskelion in that second game, but Luis was and I almost had you written off. It felt like he was just like an artifact or two or an attack from getting any damage through, and that would have just been lethal. And you seemed like you had it all under control, and the mass gang block that took that Triskelion down in particular was, I thought, super insightful.
Yeah, it was. I mean, Archon Ravager just really complicates the board. And when I played my Triskelion after the first few Lodestone Golems, I thought about maybe just shooting it then, because then he would be off of 6 mana, and if he had another Trike in his hand, then he wouldn't be able to cast it unless he had a mana source. But like I wasn't sure if he even had a Trike, and if he had a Trike, then whether or not he didn't have a mana source, which it would out of the remaining 2 cards, and so it was just really complicated. And yeah, it was certainly very close. I think he was about 1 artifact away from me dying once I tapped my Ancient Tomb.
But you didn't die. You actually won. You came back. You actually 4-0'd the day, which is what you had to do. Coming in from the losers bracket, you played 4 matches. You had to win all 4 of those matches. Did you think you had a real shot to win this? I mean, how were you feeling coming into the day?
Well, basically, I thought that Nick would have to win against Reed because his list was much better, and I would have to get lucky against Reed in the uh, second match that I played,
Okay.
which is what ended up happening. My
Yeah.
game 3 hand was just fantastic against him,
Well, that's
and
an interesting point
so
because
yeah,
Nick's
because
deck is just better set up for against Reed than yours was.
yeah, I only wanted to play 1 match against Reed if possible. Uh, just because I didn't feel like winning 2 matches against him was as likely as against Nick, because I just had a better suited post board deck against Nick than Reed.
Do you
And
have workshops?
hmm?
Sorry, do you have workshops as an underdog to Storm at this point, or maybe your version of workshops, is it a legit underdog now?
Well, the traditional workshop decks with 7 to 8 spheres and lodestone golems, it's going to be a bit, the matchup, like Dave said way back when, is very die roll dependent, and I have a similar feeling about those percentages. I mean, it's just the die roll is so important. But once all of that gets played out, like, on average, outside of the die roll, I mean, it's going to be close. It depends on what everyone is bringing in. I don't actually know if Witchbane Orb is any good, but being able to play only one lock component at a time is going to be it can get the job done sometimes, but I feel like it's going to be coming up a little bit short a lot of the time, which unfortunately wasn't showcased in any of the matches that Reed played. For the most part, he was just always one man off and couldn't really get that Hercules recall.
Pretty much, yeah. He was drawing the Hercules, which Witchbane Orb could have shut off, so it made sense to me. Well, you got the matchups you wanted. You beat Ole. You got Nick in the one where you had to win 2 straight. Beat Reed in the second round. Congratulations, buddy. You're going to be back next week. Vintage Super League time. Welcome to the league.
Thanks. Yeah. Actually, playing it this time. It'll be sweet.
Yeah, deck lists are due Monday. You don't have a lot of time. You got to figure something out. But yeah,
that's all right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll certainly have a few lists ready. I haven't been brewing.
Yeah, I don't. It seems like you got plenty of vintage decks in your repertoire. None of us should just count on you running back shops, right?
Yeah, I might run back shops. Who knows?
I run back shops, but you might not run back shops. Well, this is now we get to the true fun metagames. Yeah, I should put the schedule together. We haven't actually published a schedule, but the way Vintage Super League works, if you guys haven't seen it before, it's 10 players, so 9 weeks of round robin. Everybody plays everybody once. We can change decks every 3 weeks. So you play one deck for the first 3 weeks, second deck for the next 3 weeks, another deck for the last 3 weeks. But it means that you get these weird little metagame puzzles where it's like, well, I know I'm going to be playing against Luis and Rich and then David Ochoa, so maybe I'll play this deck because I put them on a certain set of decks. But all of that stuff is it's been long enough. It's time to fire all those skills back up again. Should be fun.
Yeah, I'm certainly looking forward to it. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I'm. We're happy to have you, and I really felt like you earned it. You played out of some super tight spots. I think everybody in the chat was also impressed. But I think that's going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I felt like I played well for the most part. I mean, there are always some points that I would go back to and think, oh yeah, well, maybe I should have thought about that a little bit more. But yeah, for the most part, it was pretty sweet, and obviously one of the reasons why I like playing it. So.
Well, thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for playing all day. Thanks to everybody out there in the chat. We will see you guys next week, where we'll have week 1 of the regular season. See you then.
Yeah. See you guys. Looking forward to it.